Hello everyone, episode 28, Road to Superbowl, soon to be your favorite podcast that will let you know how I feel about any particular team, not only in the perspective of are they good, are they bad. We are also talking projection, next 3 years, how they align, and most importantly, in a way, we are also taking a look at the contracts of every major player on the roster, not only looking into the perspective, is this guy good, is this guy bad, but does his contract make sense? Does he allows you to do what you want to do? Is he in line with like your Super Bowl window? Can you allow yourself to pay this guy and not pay other guys eventually, because that's what cap hit is all about. You have to extract the most value in regard to certain cap space. You cannot just spend all the money, buy the best players. That's just not how NFL works, and it's very unique system for us Europeans, because in major European sport, which is football, aka soccer, depends on from which part of which border of Atlantic City you are. City, yeah, of course, Atlantic City, not Atlantic City, Atlantic Sea. You are watching this. Depends whether you call it soccer or football. We don't know it. There's no cap hits in football or soccer. You know, and for example, in Premier League, like the best team kind of Manchester City spends around like 6 million pounds a week on salaries, while the lowest teams spend like 700k. Like that's the discrepancy, right? And not to mention like fee for signings, etc., etc. Really, that's what really intrigues me. Like, beside the actual game that I absolutely love, it's my favorite sport, but that's also a part of NFL that I found absolutely like really cool, and I wanted to deep dive into this. And I was thinking, well, while I'm doing this for myself, why not do it for other people? That, you know, off season is very long, and not only I get to share what I have learned, but I get to share my huge passion about this sport. So this is essentially why I'm doing this. I hope you are all enjoying this. If you would leave me a comment, I want to know how you view this. So let's talk about what a Road to Super Bowl is. It's pretty much a show that's about to look on the organization as a whole, from the coaches to the team, from the success or failures of 2023 to the free agency of this season, to what they should do in the draft. And this is all based on what they currently have in terms of roster. Obviously, if you want to know whether the guy is overpaid or underpaid, you need to know what's his positional value and how good he is. So we are not going to avoid ranking players, giving them ranks everywhere from elite to solid backup. That's pretty much my ranks. Elite, amazing starter, very good starter, decent starter, good backup, solid backup. If you have you before the rank, it means you are unproven, so it's typically rookies. And there is only one player then that deserves great free question marks, which is Von Miller, because I honestly don't know what to do with his rankings. So let's check the program here. We'll start looking at 2023 season for Baltimore Ravens. After that, we won't tap match into free agency, because we are going to do it through the rundown. In rundown, what we do is we check every major part of the team, which in weaponry we take a look at quarterbacks, tight ends, wide receivers, and running backs. With O-line, we check only online, while with D-line we also include linebackers, secondary contains cornerbacks obviously, and safeties, and Kyle Hamilton, because he's kind of playing out of position in a way. And with coaches we also take a look at the special teams. After that, we also will talk a bit about the draft and needs, and some semblance of what is this team Super Bowl window, meaning are they optimizing for this season or are they looking for the future? During the process, we can take a look at topics that are specific to the teams. So for each team, I designed 3 topics that are there to be talked. With Baltimore Ravens is no playoff success with Lamar, losing Mike McDonald. I could not resist. and King of Kings, obviously referring King Henry. So let's talk about 2023 season from the Ravens. And what a polarizing conversation is going to be, because so many things went incredibly. Let's start with new offense, under which Lamar has won his second MVP, and he absolutely deserved it. He even kind of crashed Brock Purdy in a duel when they went to San Francisco and just demolished them 43-19. They got the number one seed absolutely deservedly. They ended up a year, let's say a regular season, by beating Dolphins 56-19. Yeah, the Dolphins that at the time were actually lurking the number one seed. They got in a way lucky with their own division, which is one of the hardest in the football, if not the best. Which, despite injuries to Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb, even Kenny Pickett was actually injured for the Steelers. Not that makes that much of a difference, but still, almost all of these teams actually made the playoffs. Like Bengals were, okay at the end, 2 wins away, but they were 8th team in the conference. So you got lucky in the division that's hard as nails. You got kind of lucky in terms of your own health luck, which, Baltimore always struggles with that. And it was, quite nice for you. Especially Michael Beers, he actually played the whole year, which is absolutely crazy. Possibly a guy that you have not heard that much of, but he's one of the best nose tackles in the league. And when he plays, he is really, really a difference maker. And he just makes everyone around himself better because he allows them one-on-one matchups, and we will get to him later. But you had kind of your good luck in terms of injuries. You were one of the most dynamic offenses while still being the defense that allowed the least amount of points. You had defensive guru Mike McDonald still on the roster. Zay Flowers was a hit. Tyler Linderbaum continues his quest to actually be regarded as one of the best centers in the league. Kevin Zeitler was still great. Morgan Moses was still great. Roquan Smith, still one of the best linebackers in the league. So many good things. And then you enter the conference final. You play Chiefs at home. You are quite a favorite. Based on Vegas odds, they were they should have won that game 70 in 70. They had 70% to win that game. You've already proved that you can beat top teams because you beat San Francisco at their home stadium, right? You've demolished Lions 48-6 earlier in the year. It was so aligned for you to win the Super Bowl. It was really up there. And then Chiefs arrive and you try to reinvent the wheel. Here I might be talking as I'm result oriented. Something that I actually condemn a lot of people with Lions. But here I will actually stand my ground and say I'm not result oriented, but I absolutely hate the way you approached the game with the Chiefs, because it felt okay, here comes Chiefs defense. They are always great in playoffs. Steve Spagnuolo is such a monster in terms of a defensive coordinator. We expect them to be really, really good. We need to surprise them. And what do? We run the ball with our running backs 6 fucking times. 6 times. What are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing? Are you trying to prove a point that, just because Lamar won an MVP, he's better quarterback than Mahomes, he can throw the ball as good as Mahomes? Or, what are you doing? To me, they went okay, they will be prepared for this, so we will do something else. But you didn't even give a shot to your running game. You just didn't. And it's not you were in the hole since, the first down. You went 7-0 down, but then you scored 7-7. Like, do what you're best at. Allow your running game. Just open the game for Lamar. He is best when the running game is working. He can definitely make the defense be decent, make them contain him. This allows the running game to pump. This allows him to be more efficient in running game. Like, why? Like, it seems like for, 17 games or 18 games, you are doing it. And then when the Chiefs came to town, you just stopped. And, like, I'm not saying that Lamar does not deserve a blame. Like, that throw to a triple coverage was ugly decision. That was really ugly. But, dude, like... Okay, and yeah, I like, what is there to say? I really hated the decision to just try to reinvent the wheel for him. Like, I think you are doing it. He was named an MVP because of that. Just keep doing this. Why are you trying to do something differently? And when you say, like, would I be, or okay, you are result-oriented, you just said that, like, you condemned a lot of people for, like, shitting on Lions, and you were saying they should not be result-oriented, and this is talking result-oriented. I don't think so, because to me, that would be if they were, like, doing what I feel like they do the best, and then losing with it, and I would be like, okay, but it was clear that, like, Kansas will be prepared to what you do. You have to be more creative. It's playoffs. No, like, it's one game. You have to do what you are best at. And if that doesn't work, in that case, you have halftime, you have an exceptional quarterback. Even if you go down like 2 touchdowns, you can do it. You can get back into the game. But just at least try to do what you do best. Don't leave it. Like, first drive, you pretty much left it. And I hate the decision. And I really don't think it's me being result-oriented. And if you want to question, like, my analyzing skills, I would say it's much more actually here that I feel kind of robbed of an experience from a fan perspective, because I wanted to see it. I wanted to see what made Lamar the best, what made them demolish Texans, what made them demolish Dolphins, what made them demolish Lions, what made them demolish 49ers. They demolish all great teams, and then they suddenly don't do that against the Chiefs. So if you want to question it, don't question that I'm result-oriented, question that I am not neutral on this, because I was invested as a fan into this game. I wanted to see much better performance, and I feel like I was robbed of it. So that might be it, but overall, don't question the fact that I am result-oriented on this, because I really am not. Also, if you guys are hearing some noises here, I hope it's not that much. It's just my kitten found it's like leases that come from like trousers and stuff, and he just plays with it next to me on the chair, and it seems to really let's give you guys a look if you can. Yeah, you can see him playing, right? So okay, that's him. It's him, actually. Yeah, I thought I had 2 girls, but one of them became a guy. Well, stuff happens. Not that we transition him, or it just we felt like he should have been a girl in terms of how we got him, and we just discovered that he isn't. Well, we love him no matter his sex or his gender, whatever. I don't want to get into this debate. Let's move. So 2023, it's like, what is there to say? Like, now the narrative on Lamar is he cannot win anything in the playoffs. When they make him the difference maker, he cannot deliver. And I think it's kind of unfair. Like, I take it the previous years, but this one I just felt like he was not set up for success with the play calling. I really feel like that was what really make them struggle in that playoff game. So, what is there to say? Let's go to the free agency, which we will. I'm gonna talk about free agency, but not absolutely, because here I want to address the two other topics that I have here. I feel like no matter what you've lost, the biggest loss is gonna be losing Mike Macdonald. I'm really happy to get him as a coach, as a head coach to Seattle, but I think he's gonna be a huge loss for the Ravens. And for example, with Kyle Hamilton, as I talk about him, is kind of unique safety / linebacker / slot corner / cornerback / whatever, / edge guy. I feel like Mike really could tap into him to the best of his abilities, and if that can be repeat without Mike, is gonna be seen. And the other part is King of Kings, Derrick Henry, arrives to Baltimore. And to me, I was talking with a friend of mine who casually watches football, and what this year actually kind of makes me excited about is running game. And it's not only guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan, and all of these really new excited, like even Keaton Mitchell here, that we've seen him for 2 games, but he was exceptional in them. But it's more really mobile QBs, one of the best in the business, will be paired with elite running backs. And it's Anthony Richardson with Jonathan Taylor, hopefully if we get Anthony Richardson healthy. It's obviously here, King Henry, aka Derrick Henry, and Lamar Jackson. It's Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. I'm really excited about that. Really, when you feel like it just feels like this for several years was not the case. We felt like, okay, we have mobile quarterbacks. We don't pair them with great running backs because they make even an average guy look good, because he's gonna have naturally more space to run, because defense will have to be honest and keep an eye on quarterback as well. But for this season, for some reasons, I don't know, there are some pairings that are absolutely ridiculous. Like those 3 I mentioned, probably the most exciting ones. And I cannot wait to see it. The problem with this is problem or a good thing. When you talk about Derrick Henry, his offensive line in Tennessee was atrocious. The stat is about him. It's before contact, that O-line was 31st in terms of league, when how much they can block for the running backs. He was getting touched pretty much immediately. Baltimore's O-line was first in this area. But it was Baltimore's O-line with Moses, with Zeitler. So that's where we will talk about it later with the O-line. I would be much more excited to put King Henry behind the O-line last year, because I feel like for this year it might be a struggle for the Ravens. But if there is a positional group that, or actually overall team culture to develop a certain position, O-line for the Ravens or linebackers is definitely a group that you trust. Unlike, for example, wide receivers. But O-line and linebackers is definitely where you can have some doubts as, watcher from the outside, but with an inside they do know what they are doing. But still, I feel like they will have a worse O-line than they did last season. So that's pretty much it. In terms of free agency, we will gonna talk about some other moves in terms of roster rundown when we will address how these moves actually affect specific part of the field for them. So let's start with rundown. And again, for whoever is here new, this is not only a chance to actually see how I grade these players, it's not only a chance to see their contracts, which will come back in a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds. Depends how quickly we get through this, but it's also your chance to meet these guys sort of face to face, because they have player cards created specifically for this series in order for you to actually kind of meet them, because given how many players is actually in the NFL, it's kind of hard to keep track of everyone's appearance. This is kind of your chance to do it. So who are the guys that are on these player cards? It's either quite nice contributors 2023, guys that maybe I expect them to develop, or guys that will be contributors in my eyes for 2024. I do not cover the whole roster, so for certain there might even be starters here missing, because they are kind of late bloomers, or they won their job in the in the camp, or obviously we don't have draft picks here yet. We will most likely do like a second version of this Road to Super Bowl parts after the draft, when we incorporate how they address their needs and what their draft picks actually mean for their roster. But that's something we will do after the draft, so they are not here either. So let's just start with Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and Tyler Huntley. Follow that up with Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell, and J.K. Dobbins. With Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, Tylan Wallace, Mark Andrews, Patrick Ricard, Isaiah Likely, and Charlie Collar. I'm not sure if I do him any favor by this picture, but I'm glad that at least for the practices they actually have to wear this helmet, because head injuries are just really, really scary. And I'm glad that league is trying to at least do something to protect the players in really good manner. I do not necessarily agree with all the rules they are making, because they feel like they suck the fun out of it from the defensive side of the ball, because it's like, where should the players get hit, or are we trying to play flag football? But that's for another conversation. And here is also Odell Beckham Jr. So here, the first table will always be what this group looked like before free agency started. So as you can see, it was J.K. Dobbins and Justice Hill, as well as OBJ as unrestricted free agents, and neither of these guys, as well as Tyler Huntley, neither of these guys as of right now has been brought back. Most of them are actually still without contract. What is, I feel like, kind of a mistake for the Ravens is that they let Tyler Huntley go, because he signed for 1 year, $1.3 million with the Browns, and I feel like if he could get him for even like $2 million, come back here. He is like really poor version of Lamar, but he can run this offense. He was always decent when you pointed at him. I'm not super happy that you let him go. I feel like in terms of really nice backup that can do everything your starter can do, just like 4 or 7 levels under it. I feel like Huntley was really good prospect in this, but they have some options. They might even address this within the draft, like really late pick, or maybe they will just take a look at some veteran free agents that are still out there. So let's start with Lamar. To me, he enters the group with Burrow, with Allen, and with Mahomes in a way as an elite QB. I mean, what a year for him. Would I take him over Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, or Patrick Mahomes? No, I wouldn't. The decision is, or like the reasoning behind this is, he just showed the least out of these guys in playoffs. For regular season, I might take Lamar over, maybe even over any of these guys. For playoffs, he leaves a lot to be desired, but I still feel like it's definitely right by him to have him in this elite category. I think he deserves that. He plays in that level for most of the season, and then, like I said, I do not put all the blame for the playoff boom on him. In terms of running back room, this is one of the best rooms in the league. Derrick Henry is still an elite guy. I'm super excited about this pairing. I cannot wait to see them. I think they could be such a nightmare for every defense. And then you have Justice Hill, who actually stepped up last year, played very good football. And he might be like your running back 3, because Keaton Mitchell, if he's healthy, he was exceptional. Like, the dude is undrafted, and he played 3 games overall, and I have him as a good starter. Okay, behind in front of his name means unproven. But what he did in his stats, what he showed in terms of his speed, in terms of breakaway power, it was insane, man. So if he stays healthy, boy oh boy, this is not the room I want to face. Like, freaking fucking no. And the good thing is, if he doesn't, it's still exceptional room. So yeah, I am really excited about this. Okay, then you have Patrick Ricard, one of the most useful fullbacks in the league, one of those guys that still remains on the roster, because this position definitely fades out in terms of football. He's not Kyle Juszczyk, who I feel like would still take a crown in terms of the best fullbacks. Like I said, with a lot of them, I have trouble to rank them. It's like, do you rank them as fullbacks? Then he would be amazing starter, because he's probably second or third best fullback. But in terms of how he attributes to the team, I cannot justify making him an amazing starter. That's just not what he is. So I tried to mix it in a bit, and it's really hard. So to me, he's a good player that is very useful for this offense, and could even be really special when there's Derrick Henry, whereas Lamar Jackson, Keaton Mitchell, he could be very, very useful. So I have no trouble marking him as a good starter. And then you go and check wide receivers, and for some reason I don't have Zay Flowers here, which is my mistake. I'm sorry for that, guys. He definitely should be here. So let's just use this table, where he, as a rookie, he looked very good. He is Lamar's number 1 target. He's gonna be, and they have really good chemistry. It's good for him. It just came out yesterday or the day before that from the charges they were dropped out. League is not going to take any action on him. So it seems like even the off-field troubles are off the table, and he is there to stay. Then you have Rashad Bateman, who as a first round pick leaves a lot to be desired. He is at least a decent player, but I don't think you pick up his 50th option for sure. And you kind of see what you get out of him this season. So Odell Beckham, you let him go. There were some void years on his contract, or you actually cut him. Let me check this one. I'm not super certain. No. It was just, he signed 1-year contract, and these were already your dead cap hits in order to lower his cap hit last year. Then there are some players like Deontay Harty, Nelson Aguilar that are here or have been brought here. They will be buddies, but I do expect them to possibly try and bring another guy through the draft to this group. And it's not like you are actually super worried that you only have 2 starting caliber wide receivers, because I don't consider Aguilar starting caliber wide receiver, because you will be a hell of a lot of time in 12 personnel. You will use your fullback. You will be running the ball down to throat to every single one. So if you have 2 reliable wide receivers, which you have one very good, and you hope Rashad Bateman can become the number 2, you are cool with that. You don't try, if this is for pass heavy offense, you are fucked. But for this type of offense, you are absolutely okay with that. And that's enhanced because you have one of the best tight ends in the league in Mark Andrews, still top 3 easily in my opinion. Then behind him, Isaiah Likely really stepped up when you needed him. When Mark Andrews went down last year, he was very good. and Charlie Corral as your number 3 tight end, man oh man, that's nice. So all 3 guys will get their use. There will be times where Zay Flowers is the only wide receiver on the field, and they will still be a threat in terms of passing game. But man, oh man, this run game, like, it's set up to be really, really special. Like, I cannot wait. So, in terms of running way, this is A++ room. Like, I cannot stretch it enough. In terms of passing game, it's not as good. This is why I will only give this room an A. It's not A+ just yet, because, there is that lack of explosiveness in terms of I do not really trust Rashad Bateman as like really good number 2 behind Zay Flowers. So that's why this is just A, but again, this is really differently constructed offense or weaponry with taking use of Lamar Jackson. Like, if this was the offense for like Jared Goff, you would be scared to shit, because he would really like playmakers outside. But for Lamar Jackson, I would say this is the most fun weaponry he's had, because of Derrick Henry. That kind of, to me, is much more of a really good piece for him than Odell Beckham. No disrespect to Odell, but yeah, he is not what he once was. And with Zay Flowers being a hit, I think you have everything you need for this weaponry. So now it's time to meet the offensive line in terms of their player cards. So let's check these guys out. Ronnie Stanley, Tyler Linderbaum, Morgan Moses, Patrick McCarry, Ben Cleveland, Kevin Zeitler. So here we were before the offseason started, Kevin Zeitler being the only unrestricted free agent out of this bunch, and here we are right now. So this is okay. Let's start with Ronnie Stanley. He is on a down trajectory, and in a league of really a lot of good left tackles, he might just not even be a top half, which is really not what you would think about Ronnie Stanley like 2 or 3 years ago. But it's not. There is a problem here, but he is still good enough left tackle. Then you have Patrick McCarry, who is more of a backup to Ronnie. He can play right tackle and probably will at this point. I think he is, if I'm not highly mistaken, he is their starting right tackle right now. Let me check. Or not, or is he? No, he's actually being ranked as a backup to Ronnie Stanley. And I don't have guys here, but I will talk about them. So you have Andrew Voorhees, who is set up to be a starter as your left guard. And this guy is someone who was about to be like a 2nd or 3rd round draftable prospect that tear his Achilles and was certain that he would not play in 2023. Because of that, he dropped to 7th round, which was way too much for him. Then Baltimore was like, oh my god, this is a guy that, in a year, we believe in him. And they've done that. So they list him as their starting left guard. There's a huge question mark. He's 7th round, essentially a rookie for this season, coming off an ACL injury. But the potential is there. But as of right now, I would not rank him higher than solid backup, right? Then you go to center, Tyler Linderbaum. What is there to say? 2 years in the league, top 10 performances both of these years. He has definitely a potential to be one of the best centers in the league, to kind of trying to chase Creed Humphreys and Frank Grahams of the world. So you are not worried there. And then you go to right guard, when right now starter is Ben Cleveland. And he's been in a year, not in a year, in the league for 3 years, right? And he has not shown really much. Like, he was kind of decently high draft pick, 94, 3 years ago, but his play leaves a lot to be desired. And the fact that I do not even view him as a good backup is definitely concerning. Like, again, like I said, I try to give them some benefit of doubt, but like, he had never played, like, he has like 500, 600 snaps in his career. He always looked average in them, not necessarily like, it's not like Keaton Mitchell that you think about him in a way that, okay, if he stays healthy, it's gonna be great. No, he was kind of healthy, but he just did not make the roster. He played over 600 snaps in 3 years. And they spent the third round on him. He comes from Georgia, so it's not like they were not, they are losing some value by not playing him, but there is a reason why they are not playing him, right? But they probably, like, at this point, they are listing him as a starter. So when you check these two guards, this is definitely the worst guard duo in the league in terms of their current ability, which is obviously what we are talking about. There's a potential in them. There is coaching staff that you believe in, but that's a lot to ask. And then actually you don't have even Macari as your starting right tackle, which to me would make sense probably, but it's Daniel Falele, who you've invested 4th round 2 years ago. He again is a guy that has like 300 snaps in the NFL. He actually looked in them much worse than Ben Cleveland. And I'm not sure if I even put like a solid backup on him at this point, So, man, what an O-line filled with huge question mark. And I absolutely hate the Morgan Moses trade. Like, you've got peanuts for him. It's like 4th round for 6th round and Morgan Moses. Like, what are you doing? Why? Like, even why to Jets? Like, they are your opponents in the conference. Like, why do you give him a guy that, like, take a look with me, guys. Like, Morgan Moses on $7 million cap hit. Why are you getting rid of him? Like, why would you create this need? Like, Ronnie Stanley is a health risk, right? He is not great even when he was out there last couple of years. So you are happy that you have Morgan Moses on one side, Ronnie Stanley on the other, and Patrick McCarr as a good backup. And if you want to take risk on your guards, like, we trust in the progress of these guys, why do you add another huge question mark to the situation? So in terms of O-line, like, I don't know how to rank this, man. Like, I might leave it this without rank, because on one side, I absolutely trust their coaching staff. I see Tyler Linderbaum, I see Ronnie Stanley, I see the Patrick McCarry in a way. Like, they are good NFL starters, or like, I'm good with them starting, and with Linderbaum, I'm super happy. But one of them is even not about to start, and it seems like you will be starting 3 unproven players. Obviously, there is a huge chance that they will address this position in the draft, right? Like, you will see that with my mock drafts. But that's why it's like, first, everyone knows that you want to address this, or they will presume. So if you want to draft up, perhaps there's a tackle on the board, people will know it, and you might get freezed in the draft process. And on the other side, like, if you don't address this, like, this really does not look good. So, I'm gonna leave it without the grade, because if I would rate what they have as their starting group, I would have to give it F+, D-, because there's 3 major holes, major question marks. of players that, in terms of their current ability, we do not think highly. Like, they are not NFL starters. They have not shown to be NFL starters by any stretch of imagination. So, I'm gonna leave it for upgrade. And we can come back to this after draft. We can go back to this with Cam when we see or hear more stories coming out of Cam. And they might enter the season as like C+, B- type of group. Like, I can definitely envision that. But as of right now, no. So now it's time to meet the defense. Time to put your glasses back on, take a look at your screen, and we go. So, Jadeveon Clowney, Justin Mudbike, Roquan Smith, Broderick Washington, Michael Pierce, Travis Jones, Tyus Bowser, Orafe Ovech, David Ojabo, and Trenton Simpson. So here we are before the offseason started. I kind of don't list Mr. Quinn out here because to me, or pretty much to anyone else, it was kind of clear they will let him go. Despite he's been an influential member of this team, it was kind of clear they are already making sure that they have another guy to step up on the linebacker position next to Roquan Smith to just be their next guy out there. So here's where we are before the offseason started. Sorry guys, it's really kittens kind of having a go at my property. And here is where we are right now. So let's start with Justin Mudbike and his contract. I don't think necessarily he is not worth the money. What I will put out there is that his breakout year, his great performance last season was next to Michael Pierce, healthy Michael Pierce. And that's something, if you get this season, everybody's going to be surprised. Like, I would love this guy to stay healthy, but you just cannot count on this. And what he is, he's just such a space eater, double block eater. Like, he will like take one and a half of a player from that O-line from the play. Like, you have to double team him if you want to create any advantage from your running back. Otherwise, he is freaking anchor down the middle. And my worries here is, if he is not healthy, will this influence Justin Mudbike, his production, his qualities out there? And I really believe it could be a case, especially without Mike McDonald here. So if there is one guy that got a huge contract this offseason and could look bad next year, I actually feel like Justin could be the guy. The good thing for the Ravens and for Justin as well is that Travis Jones is very kind of natural good backup to Michael Pierce. He is improving and he has a role even with Michael Pierce healthy. So you have a succession plan even in case of Michael Pierce going down, with Broderick Washington kind of fills this part of the field quite nicely. So very good room, obviously. With Justin, there is a hope and expectation that he's going to play to his contract. He's definitely being paid. Also, in terms of, we expect you to get better or to at least keep the production last year, in which case he would definitely move to an amazing starter. But if, like I said, if there is a guy that you feel like, oh my god, he was exceptional last year and this year we cannot really see him as a difference maker, I feel like with Justin it could be the case. I do not say it's a sure thing or anything like that, but I would not be surprised. In terms of edge, you have re-signed Kyle Van Noy, who I don't have here, just 2 weeks, it's like post my prep for this, like in terms of graphics for this season. So these guys I'm just gonna address with my talk. Kyle Van Noy, he had kind of almost his best season last year, and bringing him back for $9 million over 2 years, I think it's very reasonable deal for both sides. They know what you're getting out of them. He was successful in this team last year. He was successful in the system, and he kind of gives you another very good piece out there. In terms of age, guys, you Still have not brought Jadeveon Clowney back, and you will not bring him back because he actually signed with the Panthers. So, like 2 years, 20 millions. I could see that you might regret this decision because he really took off last year, and I feel like you could have made this, like still to be under contract. You brought another veteran that had amazing year, with Kyle Van Noy being like half of the price. But I feel like this could be a bit of an issue for the pass rush because obviously you count that Justin Madubike is going to provide more from that interior. Again, like I have my reservations still there. And from the outside, with Ove, okay, very good, but you have a problem with Ojabo, which you kind of hope that these two guys would be kind of your number one, number two eventually. And with Ojabo, it's like he cannot stay healthy. So, but at this point, like behind Ove, okay, Kyle Van Noy, Ojabo, like the edge group is not really. It's not really anything that you don't question here. Like, is Ove your best pass rusher from the edge? Is he your best edge guy? That's not nice, right? The good thing is you have Roquan Smith as your linebacker. He's one of the best linebackers in the league, and he has really nice pairing with Trenton Simpson, who is this athletic freak of a guy that perhaps will play much more with his speed, with his feet, and with his body than with his mind. And they will be okay with that because then there's Roquan that absolutely will, like he will not only understand that what you want to do as an offense, but he might like see what his partner will try to head for, like what kind of reads he has, what kind of fakes he's actually being fed to, and he can cover for him. So I like the succession plan. Trenton showed some things last year, so I definitely feel like next to Roquan Smith, this linebacker duo is definitely workable. I feel like you don't have your number one pass rusher here. That's definitely my biggest critique for this group. That being said, from the inside with Madubike, with Pierce, with Jones, it can work more like from the pressure inside, like rather than from the edge. But with that being said, I cannot give you anything more than like B to B minus, and it's in a way like when I predict Michael Pierce health, it's B minus group. I feel like bringing an edge could be something still to address in the offseason or in the draft. And now let's check and visit the secondary. Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Williams, Brandon Stevens, Kyle Hamilton. Okay, just for players, guy. And this is before the free agency, and this is right now. So if you are a first-time viewer, what do you see with the red numbers? It's void years. What do they mean? It means essentially that Marlon Humphrey is not signed for 2027 season, but against cap hit, Baltimore will still have to pay $1.9 million for him. Not pay for him, but actually count against cap hit, because they restructured his contract or wrote it in a way that, some years they saved this 1.9 and they kind of make a fake year for the future. So, what is this group? Well, one of the most exciting group in the league with not that much of a depth, right? So, Kyle Hamilton, absolutely unique player. He can play pretty much every single role out there. Okay, maybe outside cornerback is not it, but other than that, he can play everything. Free safety, strong safety, linebacker, edge guy, even cornerback, slot cornerback for sure. Like, he is amazing. My question is, will he be amazing without Mike McDonald? Because he could definitely always kind of put him to the best position for his abilities for that particular matchup. With Marcus Williams and Brandon Stevens, you have much more of normal safeties in a way. with Brandon actually like playing a lot of the snaps from the slot as well. And then you have Marlon Humphrey, kind of your number one corner. Like, call him shutdown is, I think, an overestimation or oversay, because he had the down year, he dealt with injuries, he was kind of actually very mediocre in coverage last year, but he's still amazing player unless he like shows another signs of regression from injuries or from age, but he's still gonna be just 28 entering a year. I might monitor him to lower his grade, but as of right now, he is still amazing in my eyes. And then there are some guys like Arthur Mollett, like former undrafted pickup that like played 7 to 8 years in the league and is kind of a piece. He played almost 500 snaps for them last year, which is not definitely something you are happy with. Though he kind of hold on, nothing like a huge problem. But you just don't have players here. Like, there is no sugarcoating here. Like, yes, with Brandon Stevens, he can play snaps there. You can put Kyle Hamilton out there, but in terms of really like classic cornerbacks that you are happy to have out there, they resigned Mollett to like 2 years, $4 million. Even that contract kind of says, like, we are happy that you are our like fifth option, but right now he would be a starter, which is yeah, like, that's definitely not something you are happy with. So again, really good group with major hole, in my opinion. Something, again, I feel like you should address in the draft, but it seems like it starts to be way too many positions that you feel like you would want to use at least like a late first round pick for, and you don't have that. You just have one, right? So okay, I will grade this group as A-, because between Hamilton, Williams, and Humphrey, you have really special guys, but then you have a huge hole. So okay, I have to add minus to this, and I do not doubt that this might enter the season as A grade, because you will fill the hole with the draft. Okay, let's go to the coaches, then talk to Super Bowl window, then just some couple of what they could do in terms of mock drafts, and that's it. So Todd Monken, what a hit. He really, first year with Lamar becomes MVP. Like, what do you want? Like, that's great, right? Definitely they changed the way they run the offense out there, and it was to the benefit. Obviously, you have to question his play call in terms of playoffs, right? Like, I've already done that. I'm not gonna come back to this. It's just it. Then John Harbaugh, one of the long-time service coaches out there. He's very good. Now he has his brother in the conference, in the league as well. So it could be fun matchups, but yeah, like, what is there to say? He's top guy. Though he does not have the successes last couple of years as like Andy Reid has. So that kind of sucks, but not everyone can have Patrick Mahomes and win Super Bowls, it seems. Somehow that's the case. And then you have Zachary Orr. He is a Baltimore Raven. He's played here. He's been internally promoted. He was definitely like learning from Mike McDonald. So you trust in him, but he is not Mike McDonald, or you don't expect him to be Mike McDonald like year one. So bit of a question mark for sure. Then in terms of your special teams, Justin Tucker, still probably the best kicker, though he had a bit of a down year, right? And with Stout, he's good enough, improving. He should not be a problem. Like, you hope that Justin Tucker is gonna have his elite seasons, because last year he was just really good. Like, he was not the best kicker last year, but if I have a gun pointed to my head and you ask me who I want to kick like 55-yarder anywhere in the world, I will pick Justin Tucker still. So I still believe he is the best player or best kicker out there. What is the Super Bowl window for the Ravens? I definitely feel like this year it's still highly open because of the way like Lamar contract is constructed. You still are not paying like guys like Lindenbaum and Kyle Hamilton, but it might close, not like to the full extent, because I still feel like whenever you have Lamar, you have a chance, but you definitely optimize first years of his contract in order to make a push. You have to pay Kyle Hamilton next year, and like I say, even for this year, there is a lot of holes in that group, and like Browns are probably gonna fade out a bit because of Watson contract and other stuffs out there, and Pittsburgh, but Cincinnati with Burrow, they will be there for next 10 years for sure, and Pittsburgh, it seems like they will always be good. So your division is not gonna get easier, and it's gonna, I feel like in 3 years you might look at that last year loss even more painfully, because last year, and I would say still this one, is probably your best shots. Like, I will still say for years when you have Lamar, you will probably be good, but yeah, that's my view. I feel like for the season, still very good contenders, but there are a lot of question marks. Whether we talk with the O-line, we talk about cornerbacks, we talk about edge guys. Yeah, that's where I'm. And if you want to check my drafts for this group, I don't think you have that much to play with, so you pretty much take a look what is on the board when you are drafting, and you try to draft for your needs. So for example, one of my drafts that I've done is like Nate Wiggins, the best corner that was out there, still with number 30 pick. I take him. Then Christian Haynes, best guard out there, I took with the round 2. Then it doesn't feel like there's really an edge guy worth a pick, so I just took a flyer on Jamari Trash for a wide receiver role. So that was it for your Ravens. Leave me down a comment. How do you feel? What do you feel about the play call in the playoffs? And the episode 28 is behind us. 4 teams to go. It's gonna be San Francisco 49ers, Kansas City Chiefs, Carolina Panthers, and we will finish with Cleveland Browns. Thank you very much for listening, for tuning in. I hope we will see you within the draft. Up to that point, have the best of days, and see ya. Bye.